it's Mrs. Dempsey. I hope you're all having a wonderful day. I just want to go ahead and create a video to show you how to properly use the resources that will be in your child's folder. So I created some resources that I thought would be great if you want to practice reading or writing or letters or numbers at home with your child. So I'm just going to go ahead and go through that, and again, if you have any questions, you know, you can always reach out and I'm happy to answer. So you'll start with this sheet right here. It has my teacher info, which I know you have, but just thought if this is something you put on the fridge, it's right there and it's handy. So our phonics program, which is what we use for our letters and our sounds, is Fundations, and that is such a fun part of our day. And so you can see this is our Fundations alphabet, and it's in two different places here. And so these are the cards, the key cards that your child uses every day. So they are really familiar with these cards, and on our newsletter each week, I have listed the exact letters that we're focusing on. So you can always pull this out and you can ask your child to point to a letter, or you can go over exactly how we say these. And so if you look here, like this is an M, so we go M, man, or a T, T, top, T, or U is you, up, And so what I'm sending home as well is a letter formation guide. And so it's not only important that your child's able to recognize that letter and know that letter sound, but one of the biggest things in kindergarten is properly forming those letters. And so with Fundations, we use a special grid. And so you'll each get a copy and keep it in the sheet protector. This is a large writing grid, and here are some smaller writing lines. And so the way it works is the sky line's our top line, then we have our plain line, our grass line, and our worm line. So for example, we are working on the letter C this week. So what you could do is you could find the letter formation for C, and you can dictate exactly how your child should be writing that letter. So all you need is your board and then an Expo marker. You can get a dry erase marker from Walmart or the dollar store. And so for example, if you were to read this, it says C is a plain line round letter. It starts on the plain line. So point to the plain line. Then we start to fly backwards and go down and around to the grass line. C, cat, k. And your child would go, C, cat, k. So that's exactly how you use it. The letter B, that is a skyline letter. So you would say point to the skyline, down to the grass line, trace up to the plain line, and around and down to the grass line. B, bat, b, b, bat, b. So you can do this at home. This is also a great way for your child to practice their name. You can look at exactly how we form it. But again, please reference the newsletter that I post every Monday on Class Dojo, because we haven't learned all the letters. So you can keep this as a guide to help you throughout the year, and they love to form their letters, and they're so great at it. So you can erase this board. You don't want to keep it on there. You want to erase it. So I'm going to use my fingers. You can use a sock, a rag, a tissue, a wipe, just about anything. And there you go. It's nice and clean and ready to go next time. So those are our Fundation letters, our alphabet. Then here, just some little pictures to help if you want to do some practice. When reading a story, you can go over the beginning, middle, and end with your child. Here's the symbols for punctuation, some tips for checking your writing. Does it have finger spaces? End with a period, exclamation, or question mark? Does it begin with an uppercase letter? Reading, as well as some colors at the bottom, okay? So then if you flip it on over, we have some math. We have a nice number line to 20. We have some math strategies, which is great for different ways you can count. And we have a chart that goes all the way to 120. So you could play a fun game here where you can say a number and have your student point to that number. They always really enjoy looking for the numbers, especially when there's so many. And at the bottom, we also have shapes. We'll get into shapes in a little bit, but we have 2D and 3D shapes that we'll learn. So whenever you check that newsletter, if you want to reinforce what we're learning in school and do some practice, you can always pull this out. And it's in a special sheet protector, so it stays nice and safe for you. So the next thing that I'll be sending home is sight words. And so these are so important because they're words that that don't typically follow a phonics pattern. So you can't just sound them out or tap them out. You have to memorize those words. And these are the words that will appear most in the text that your child is reading. And so we have level A. If you flip it over, we have level B, level C, and level D. And the goal is that by the end of kindergarten, your child is able to quickly recognize and read all of these words from level A to D. So the way that this works is, again, on our newsletter, I point out exactly the words we're working on for that week in class. And so you want to start with level A. So for your child to master level A, that means that they're able to read all of these words correctly before they move to B. So you don't want to move on until your child is able to read these. And we usually give it about a 3-second rule. So if they're not sure of that word, you can tell them what that word is, and then you can do some fun things with those words at home. So I have here different ways you can have fun with sight words. You can tape sight words to the refrigerator and read them when you go in the kitchen. You can use magnetic letters. You can use shaving cream or finger paint. Rainbow Write is always fun and easy. They write each letter of the sight word in a different color. You can use chalk. You can make flashcards, and they got to slap the flashcard and read it. You could say, find the word like, and they would slap that before you did. Things like that. So here's some tips here. So again, they shouldn't just be starting on a level D. You want them to first be able to read all A and then move to B. And if you notice that they're really struggling, let's say with level B, and they only know about half of it, then keep reviewing A and B. So don't move on yet. And again, really, you can use this to reinforce the words that we are currently working on. And so, yeah, they match the words. And so just have fun with this. There's a lot of things you can even play, like a bingo with it, since it's in this nice little chart. Cover the word at, cover the word see, cover the word the, and then they could, win some bingo. So those are some great things there. And the last thing is just some tips on different ways to read with your child. I really think it is important that you are aiming to read daily with your child. Just listening to you read is so important, listening to the expression and the tone of your voice and how you pause for a comma, and you sound excited when there's an exclamation point, and your voice goes up when there's a question mark at the end of a sentence. Being able to really study those illustrations and just have your child exposed to reading is so important and so wonderful. So this is different ways to read. You can read aloud, a picture walk, look through the book before, stop and predict. We predict in here, and that's a smart, educated guess on what will happen next. Maybe they could use the illustrations to guess what's coming up next. They could point out details. You could talk about the characters. Really tracking print. That's something we're really working on, is our print concepts. And we know that we read left to right. We don't just start in the middle of the page. We don't start by looking and reading the illustration, right? We point left to right, and we read that way. Read the story out loud. Have your child echo you. Those are all different things that you can peruse. And so, yeah, so that's kind of all Mrs. Dempsey has here. So you have some great stuff with foundations. Use this for writing the letters. It's so important that they aren't just writing the letters, because it's really, the little babies, they want to start at the bottom, and in foundations, we always start our letters at the top. So like a B, we start at the top. A C, we start at the top. So really, even when writing their name, we always start our letters at the top, not the bottom. So you can use that to practice and dictate proper formation. You have your sight words you can play some fun games with, and here's your tips and tricks for reading and sight words. So if you need anything, you know that I'm always here. I hope you enjoy these resources, and that's it. Thank you all so much for the best year ever, and I'll see you soon. Bye.